What's up, everybody? Matt with Texas Edge Home Inspections. Today we're looking at a property that is somewhat different from me in my area. Usually all the homes built in my area are slab on grade, but this house is a pier and beam. Now, when I do see pier and beam structures, they are usually older houses. This one though is only a couple of years old. Now, there are many things that are different about inspecting a pier and beam structure, one of which being, as inspectors, we are supposed to get under the house. There's a lot of things underneath there that we need to take a look at. For instance, how the foundation is constructed, if it is properly supported. There's usually plumbing, sometimes ductwork, sometimes there's a dryer vent, all kinds of things that are going on underneath the house that we have to check out. But what's really important is they need to leave us access. We are supposed to have an access, a minimum of 24 inches by 18 inches to be able to get underneath the house. Now this house is raised up enough that I should be able to fit up into there, no problem. But the problem is they haven't really left any access. But I've decided that's not really going to stop me today. So they have this deck board skirting all along the house, and the actual bottom of the foundation goes up even higher than that. So there's plenty of room for me to get underneath this house, but I have to remove some deck boards. Now, luckily, I carry a precision screwdriver kit that has a whole bunch of different bits on it, including a Torx bit, which I'll need for this today, and I carry an electric screwdriver. Now, this isn't a drill, and so being the fact that it's just an electric screwdriver, the battery, I hope that it holds up enough to get these deck boards off and then back on, but we're gonna give it a shot anyway because I feel like it's important. I gotta get down there. My inspection process usually starts with a brief run through the inside. I take hot water temperatures, flush the toilets a few times, change over the HVAC temperatures, start the dishwasher, and raise all the blinds, turn all the lights on. But today, we're gonna do things just a little bit different. And the reason why is because of the pier and beam structure. Since I have to get under the house, I only want to get under the house one time. And so with that being said, what we're going to do is the same thing that we normally do, except after we do all that, we're going to go ahead and run the cold water and fill up all tubs and sinks and drain them. And we're going to start the dishwasher. This way, we get a whole bunch of stuff draining through the drainage system, and it gives me a chance to see if anything is leaking under the house when I go under there during my exterior inspection. Changing up my process here helps me out significantly because it allows me to do the entire exterior inspection all at once, instead of coming back in, running the water later, and then having to go back underneath the house. Underneath the house is a place I only want to go once if I can help it. Now it's time to get in the crawl space, and with that being said, it's time to suit up. And so I got my coveralls here, I got some knee pads. Now I know I got a beard and everything, but I figure it's better safe than sorry. And so I always, even though this one seems like it's pretty clean, I'm still gonna put on a respirator before I go down there. So let's get all geared up. All right, now that I'm all suited up, it's time to go underneath the house. There's a lot of things to see down here. I inspect all the piers, all the beams, make sure everything's in proper contact. Occasionally I run into weird stuff like this snakeskin. But one of the cool things about a house like this is that all the plumbing is visible underneath the house. I never get to see this on a slab foundation, and that's what I inspect most of the time. Most of the plumbing was in pretty good shape down here, and I didn't really see many problems at all until I found the dryer ducts terminating to the crawl space. You can see it right here, and you can see all the lint that's underneath the crawl space. This is not where this should be going. The dryer vent should terminate to the exterior of the property, not under the house. Finally, after crawling around for a little while, we got pay dirt. This is why we run all the water beforehand. We get down here and we find leaks. You can see this water leaking out of this drain line here. This isn't good, it needs to get fixed. Glad we found this today. So it's great that we made access and got down here today, checked this out, found these problems, but now it's time to get out of here. So I'm up here on the roof now, and honestly, there's just not a whole lot to talk about. This roof's in pretty good shape. Again, the house is only a couple of years old, so I'd expect it to be. There are a couple of exposed fasteners at pretty much all of the vent stacks here, but honestly, there's not much to talk about because there's not many penetrations on this roof. It's a spray foam insulated attic, so there's no attic vents. All there are a few plumbing vents, and that's it. It's an electric furnace. There's no fireplace. There's nothing going through the roof, hardly, and so there's not a whole lot of potential areas for problems. So besides those exposed fasteners, there's really not a whole lot to show you on this roof. My cougar paws sure are getting a workout today. I'm not sure what the pitch is on this roof, but it's pretty steep, and I sure am glad to have some gear like some cougar paws to walk this roof today. Now, as I mentioned before, we do have spray foam insulation in this attic space. So it is a sealed attic space. without any type of ventilation. However, the front porch is a different story. The front porch is not insulated, and so therefore it needs some type of ventilation. It is a small space, so it's not going to need much ventilation, but it's going to need some type of ventilation on the upper side and the lower side in order to properly ventilate that space. Something else that should probably be mentioned is these windows, really the exterior. So most of these windows, at least the ones along the front of the house, have a soffit or a porch up over them, and so they're never really going to be subject to any type of moisture damage. And so therefore flashing, it's not there, but it's really not that big of a problem. But these windows over here are on the open area of the house, and there's nothing really to cover them. Now they do have flashing over the window. I'd like to see flashing over the projected trim above the window as well, but that might be too much to ask. But the problem that we really have is the flashing that is above the window is sealed to the siding, and so therefore it's not going to do its job and it's not going to let water out. So it's essentially useless in the shape that it's in. That flashing should have a gap between the flashing and the siding to allow water to get out. As far as the inside of the house is concerned, really not much going on in here to be concerned with, but there were a couple of things in the attic space that concerned me. For one, inside this attic hatch over here, again, we can see the spray foam insulation, but for whatever reason, over a small portion of the ceiling, we have some batt insulation. We don't need batt insulation and spray foam in the rafters. We need one or the other, and in this case, we chose spray foam, so that batt insulation really needs to be pulled out of there. The next issue I ran into was in another attic hatch. This house has 3 of them, and this one is the HVAC system. Now check it out. There's not a whole lot of room to work on this HVAC system, but that's not my biggest problem. My biggest problem is this filter box right here. I can get the door off, but they really didn't leave enough room for the filter. This is a 20 by 20 filter, and that's about 19 inches. And so you pretty much have to crush the filter to get it in or out. And furthermore, this wasn't even the only filter. We also had a fiberglass filter in place at the return grill. Essentially, this is double filtration that can restrict airflow to the unit. So pick one or the other. Either have the one in the wall unit, change it more frequently, or have a media filter. So that's going to be all for this couple-year-old pier and beam structure inspection today. I got to get to another inspection. Hey guys, Matt with Texas Edge Home Inspections. I'm out here, but call me so I can do your next inspection.